What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj, and today we're going to be doing our long-awaited Eastern Conference All-Star starters. In this video, we got the Western Conference tomorrow, but we're going to start with the East, as I guess I would usually do in videos that I do. I usually do East first, so yeah, we're going to do East. Start with the backcourt. And yeah, we're going to do that in a minute. Just before we do it, I recommend you guys leave a like if you enjoyed this video, comment an idea for a video down below, subscribe if you're new, and let's get going. So, Eastern Conference, we're going to start with the backcourt. And in the backcourt for the East, I believe the All-Star starters should consist of 1. Isaiah Thomas from the Boston Celtics, and 2. Kyle Lowry from the Toronto Raptors. Now, before you guys jump on me for not having DeMar DeRozan here, we're just going to confirm that the backcourt can consist of 2 guards. Doesn't matter if they're both point guards, both shooting guards, one or the other. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we all know that we need 2 backcourt players. So I'm going with who I believe have been the 2 backcourt players all season long, and that is Isaiah Thomas and Kyle Lowry. We're going to go over each one first, and after I did that, we're going to go over honorable mentions, where I will cover DeMar DeRozan and Kyrie Irving. Talk about why I don't believe they're on this list, and John Wall. I shouldn't have given away the honorable mentions all at the beginning, but I'm just letting you guys know, because this is probably the most controversial one. I already made my list for the East and the West, and these are probably the most controversial selections that I have. You know, a lot of people might have Kyrie Irving and DeMar DeRozan starting. I have no problem with that, because I think all these guys are very close. I think you could start Wall and DeRozan, or Wall and Irving, or Wall and Thomas, or, you know, any combination of those 5 guys. But personally, I like to choose Isaiah Thomas and Kyle Lowry. We're going to start with Isaiah Thomas, who I believe has been the best guard in the Eastern Conference all season long. Isaiah Thomas putting up numbers of 28 points and 6 assists, leading the Boston Celtics in the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. They've taken a convincing lead over the Charlotte Hornets, who are in 4th. You know, that 3-11 range in the Eastern Conference was really, you know, it was really compacted. Like, everybody had the same record damn near, but the Celtics did a really good job of spacing themselves out from all those teams, and it has been done really by way of Isaiah Thomas. This guy has been everything offensively for this Celtics team, and I'm gonna start by talking about when he went out with injury. Isaiah Thomas had I don't even know what injury was, but he sat out a bunch of games in the Celtics. You know, they're trying to find their identity the whole time. He comes back and they're red hot. When he comes back, he's red hot, and he becomes just the best 4th quarter player in the league, basically. I mean, I know he's 2nd in the NBA in 4th quarter scoring, I think. Westbrook's 1st, but obviously Westbrook's going to take the most shots in the 4th quarter, so he's going to score the most. So I'm going to say that Isaiah Thomas has probably been the best 4th quarter player all year long in the NBA. The guy has been doing so much. He's everything for this team. I mean, he's 5'9" and leading a team like this. Plus, I mean, don't you want a 5'9" point guard in the All-Star game to start? I mean, don't you want that? That sounds great to me. So I believe Isaiah Thomas should start as one of the guard spots. Also, just, you know, for clarification's sake, this is not my prediction of who's going to get in. This is who I believe should make it. So Isaiah Thomas at point guard, or, you know, one of the guard spots, makes complete sense to me. He's been phenomenal all season long. Probably should have been player of the month instead of John Wall this month. But yeah, he's been absolutely amazing, averaging something around 30 points since his return from that injury. He had a 52-point game, 29 in the 4th quarter. Absolutely amazing stuff from Isaiah Thomas. So now on to the other backcourt mate. I already revealed him. It's going to be Raptors point guard Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry putting up numbers of around 23 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and he's been absolutely stellar shooting the basketball. Kyle Lowry is quietly having the best season of his career. He's been electric on the offensive end, shooting almost 46% from the 3-point line on 3.5 made threes per game. This guy is sniping. He's probably been the best shooter in the NBA this year when you factor in volume shooting, deep contested shot attempts. I mean, this guy's taking deep shots in people's faces, and he's able to cash out and knock these shots down and still shoot an amazing percentage. If you watch the Toronto Raptors, Kyle Lowry has been an assassin all year, and I believe that he's the true leader of this Toronto Raptors team. Also, his defense has been excellent. He's an excellent defender, as we all should know. He's extremely scrappy. And the 5 rebounds. This is not something that we hear about, because Kyle Lowry is not a high flyer. He's not tall, okay? He's around 6 feet, if that. and he's getting 5 boards a game. He's really scrappy. He's super strong. He gets into the paint. He could score from anywhere. He's the clutch man for the Toronto Raptors down the stretch of close games. I don't see how you say DeRozan is the main guy over this guy. And now we're going to cover the honorable mentions. Let's start with DeRozan because we're on the topic. DeMar DeRozan is leading this team in scoring. He's also a top 10 scorer in the NBA. I think he's top 10, right? He's averaging around 27 a game, I believe. Besides, putting the ball in the basket, I know DeMar DeRozan has been a constant scorer. He gets to the line a lot. He can knock down mid-range shots as good as anybody in the league. He's an excellent slasher. But DeMar DeRozan doesn't have the same complete game that a guy like Kyle Lowry does. I wouldn't start him over Kyle Lowry because I believe if you had to choose either DeMar DeRozan or Kyle Lowry, you choose Kyle Lowry all day. I don't really think there's a question about that. Kyle Lowry does so much more. I mean, he's the playmaker. He runs the offense. He's super scrappy. He's a hustle player. He plays with so much heart. He's a much superior defensive player. This guy is a great one-on-one defender on the perimeter. He's also really strong. He's the leader of this team on and off the court, and he's the clutch guy. He's the guy you want the ball in the hands of. He's the best decision maker on the team. He's the more efficient out of the two of them. I know DeRozan scores more, but besides that, there really isn't much more of an argument. To say DeRozan is the better player this season, besides the fact that he scores 4 more points per game, Kyle Lowry trumps him in almost every other aspect. And then there's Isaiah Thomas, who I put over DeRozan just because Thomas is a one-man wrecking crew at 5'9", and he's absolutely killing people. Leading his team where he doesn't have a second guy that can carry a load like Lowry and DeRozan have each other. He doesn't have another guy like that, but he's been, I believe, superior to both of them. He's around Lowry. I think Thomas and Lowry have been very close to each other. Now, Kyrie Irving, this might be another very controversial one. Kyrie Irving has had a lot of flashy plays. He's done a lot. I respect the fact that Kyrie Irving has really elevated his playmaking game. He's scoring as well as he ever has in his career, and so it was really hard for me to leave Kyrie Irving off this list. But in terms of doing a lot, in terms of being great, by himself, leading by himself, I just couldn't give him the nod because I know Kyrie Irving is so good at being a clutch man down the stretch, at scoring throughout a game, taking on the league's best one-on-one, and when he plays an elite team, he always shows out against great teams, and it feels like he could do that against anyone. But I believe that he's actually better against the good teams. He usually tends to have better games against the better teams, which is actually good, when it comes to the playoffs. But Kyrie Irving hasn't been doing it in all the areas that a guy like Kyle Lowry has, and he hasn't been leading in the way that Isaiah Thomas has, because I know he's on LeBron's team, but I really attribute most of the Cavs' success to LeBron, considering that the Cavs aren't good and have been good when LeBron's off the court. 4-18 without LeBron since he's returned to Cleveland from Miami. And of course, this year, they haven't been much better without LeBron. The team doesn't have an identity without him. When he's off the court, they struggle mightily, even if Kyrie's on the court, and Kyrie still isn't a good enough defender for me to consider him two-way. I mean, not even close to that. Kyrie's an amazing scorer. He's excellent at closing out games down the stretch. He's an excellent second option for LeBron James, but I do not believe that he should be starting in this All-Star game over guys that are first options in Lowry and Thomas, who have been carrying. I mean, Lowry hasn't been carrying his team because he's got DeRozan. They've helped carry the load, share the load, whatever. But Lowry, I still believe, is the alpha on that team. And then Isaiah Thomas has been just absolutely playing his heart out and doing huge things. He definitely deserves to be in here. The last honorable mention for the backcourt before we get into the front court, which will be even more complicated. Yes, it's shaping up to be a pretty long video. It's John Wall. Yes, John Wall has been putting on a show this NBA season. The Wizards have crept back into the playoff race, and all three of these guys, I mean, they could really be on. They have been so good. Irving, DeRozan, and Wall they all make excellent cases for starting in this All-Star game, but so do Thomas and Lowry, and I'm giving it to Thomas and Lowry, but John Wall has been excellent, scoring the basketball, assisting, playmaking, leading this team, which they do have a lot of good offensive weapons, so I wouldn't say he's really carrying. He's playing amazing basketball, and he's definitely the leader of this team, but he's got some good teammates that he can, that can help him, do stuff on the court, on the offensive end. He's also a very good defensive player, and this team is getting right back into the playoffs. His play keeps up. He just won Eastern Conference Player of the Month. I definitely don't see any reason why he can't be a top 5 point guard in this league, for sure. But yeah, I'm leaving him in the honorable mentions. But yeah, you got to hand it to Thomas and Lowry. They've been absolutely exceptional all season long. Yeah, we're going to go to the front court. That took 10 minutes for the back court. Jesus Christ. Yeah, let's start with the front court. Start with our first player of the front court, and it's going to be Chicago Bulls small forward Jimmy Butler. Yes, playing the small forward due to Rondo and Wade, so he's a front court player. Butler averaging around 25 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and also shout out to Jimmy Butler because he had 52 last night and marks like the 5th night in a row we've had a crazy game. I've been counting. We had Isaiah Thomas going for 52, James Harden goes for 53, and a triple-double. Unbelievable, right? And 29 in the fourth quarter of Isaiah Thomas's game, I had to mention. The next night we had McCollum go for 43, and Lowry go for 41, and then that night after that, Jimmy Butler goes for 52 in a clutch-ass performance, 17 in the last 4 minutes of this game. Yeah, pretty insane for Jimmy Butler. But he's been carrying the Chicago Bulls all season long. He's been efficient while putting up superstar numbers, playing defense, doing it all really for this team. There's no reason why he shouldn't be there. He's had several amazing games. He's keeping them in the playoff race. Without him, they're screwed. So, yeah, you got to throw him in there. He's definitely deserving. Next to him, another small forward or point guard or shooting guard or power forward or center, the positionless Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I said a while ago he needs to start in the All-Star game, and he's just gotten better since I said that. He's averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. There's really not a lot of players in the NBA as complete as that on both ends, leading, carrying their team. The Milwaukee Bucks are in the playoffs, and they're probably going to be a playoff team because of this guy. He does it all. He's efficient about it. He's a matchup nightmare. On offense, on defense, you can't go at him. You can't have him go at you. What do? He's an amazing playmaker and inside scorer. He's too long. He's a demigod is what, we're all calling him. But yeah, he's a front court player. Technically, I look on NBA.com and they have him listed as a front court player. But really, he's, I guess, a point guard or a small forward. I don't know. Can someone tell me, what does he actually play? Down in the comments, please. I'd like to know what his actual position is, because I always thought he was a small forward. But I guess he's a point guard, but maybe he's not. Whatever. All right, he's got to be in there as well. And then we had as the other small forward spot, Carmelo Anthony. Wait, no, that's not right. LeBron James. How could we forget the king himself? LeBron's having such an amazing year, and it's going so underrated. Is anyone talking about LeBron? We're all talking about Westbrook and Harden, which I'll get to in the next video. But LeBron James has been doing it all for the Cleveland Cavaliers this season. The Cavs, of course, the number 1 seed in the East. They've been stellar all year, and it's been because of LeBron James running the show. 26 points per game, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. It doesn't really compare to Westbrook or Harden in terms of the numbers, but that's pretty amazing. If you're an NBA player putting up 26, 9, and 8, that's pretty damn amazing, incredible, phenomenal, whatever you want to use to describe it. LeBron James has been doing it, and we can't forget that he's LeBron James, putting up those numbers. That's gotta be rewarded. You can't leave LeBron out. He's doing amazing this year. No one's talking about it. Leading his team, putting up amazing stats. You can't really leave LeBron out. He's out of all the players in the Eastern Conference, he's been the best this year. It's gotta be true. He's been the best out of all these 5 players I named. It's been him. And yeah, let's talk about the honorable mentions now. We're gonna start with Kevin Love. Yes, he's not as controversial, but Kevin Love definitely wouldn't make it in front of Jimmy Butler, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or LeBron James for obvious reasons. I think we all know Kevin Love's been the third option, but he's averaging, around 22, 23 points and 10, 11 rebounds as a third option. So that's absolutely terrific. Kevin Love's had his best season ever, in my opinion, just because, people are going to scream at me. They're going to be like, wait, are you forgetting about when he was in Minnesota? No, I'm not forgetting, but if you look at his numbers, he's playing less minutes, he's taking less shots, his usage rate is down, but he's still putting up damn near the same numbers he was putting up in Minnesota. Very close to the numbers he was putting up in Minnesota, about 23 points and 10 rebounds. That's awesome. So yeah, Kevin Love has been fantastic, and he should definitely be in this All-Star game as a reserve. I think he will. Another honorable mention is Paul George. Paul George, he's having, it's kind of weird what's going on with Paul George, because I think we all expected him to take another leap forward because he had such a great season last year, but he hasn't really gotten better from last year. He's been pretty good, but he hasn't grown, so I don't think he should have that starting spot over a Jimmy Butler or Giannis. But he definitely needs to be in the game. And Paul George, he's had a great year, just not, compared to his last year. Hasn't had as good of a year as Butler or Giannis, and his team is sinking way below where we wanted them to. We don't think they should be that low. I guess they're like where the Bulls are, but they should be getting better, not worse. Their team was projected to be much higher than the Bulls, and they're like right with them. So, yeah. And the last honorable mention is Hassan Whiteside over Carmelo Anthony. Kristaps Porzingis was like actually in consideration because, he's actually having a good year, but Carmelo has, like, Knicks fans don't even like Carmelo right now. Like, he's been playing really bad offensively, defensively. He's been inefficient. They've been losing games like crazy recently. But Hassan Whiteside, they were going to lose games regardless. He's carrying a team that's not winning anyway, but, he's putting up insane numbers. He's doing all he can to get the wins that they're getting, but that team is terrible right now. They have so many injuries, and even without the injuries, they're still not a very good team, and Hassan Whiteside's the only guy that's, doing work. Goran Dragic, you can't understate Goran Dragic what he's doing this year, but Hassan Whiteside has been the man. And Eastern Conference front court doesn't run all that deep. Below like Love, George, Butler, Giannis, and LeBron, those five guys, not in order obviously, but there aren't really a lot of guys that are all-star worthy. Think about it, there aren't that many great teams in the Eastern Conference this year. So yeah, I'm gonna let you guys think about that. My all-star starters in the Eastern Conference this year: Isaiah Thomas, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and LeBron James. Wouldn't be surprised if Dwayne Wade sneaks into that backcourt. I'd be kind of mad too. I'm a Bulls fan, but I'd still be mad because I really want the All-Star game to be like the five best players, the most deserving players. But yeah, Thomas, Lowry, Butler, Giannis, LeBron. I think it looks pretty good. Again, if Irving, DeRozan, or Wall get starting spots, that's also great because, they deserve it too. Five guys deserve the 2 starting spots in the East backcourt. You gotta give it. I wouldn't. Yeah, I have no problem with Irving, DeRozan, or Wall taking that. But yeah, this is my opinion. If you enjoyed it, remember, drop a like, comment a day down below, subscribe if you're new. A long ass video. I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.